Friday Night Lights, the sports drama following the ups and downs of the Dillon Panthers high school football team, was itself something of an underdog.
Clear eyes, full hearts can't lose.
While it was a critical darling beloved by its small but mighty fan base, many who love the show feel that it never really got its due. Not your average football drama focused solely on winning on the field. The show took a deeper look at the lives of everyone involved in a way that felt immediate and real. So what is it specifically that made this show so raw and relatable?
Well, you're gonna win or you're gonna lose. Either way, the sun's gonna come up the next morning.
This is The Total Take, where we break down the most analyzable films and TV shows of all time through visual storytelling, writing, world, symbolism, and impact. A big thanks to Patreon subscriber Michael Mondragon for sponsoring this video. Michael wanted us to do a total take on everything that made Friday Night Lights so great. So let's dive in. Our first category is the writing, the originality, inventiveness, and insight within the script. What is the piece's true takeaway? The show's writing feels true to life because it is pulled from real life. Based on H.G. Bissinger's 1990 book, Friday Night Lights, A Town, a Team, and a Dream, about a real-life team in Odessa, Texas, the story was first adapted into a 2004 film of the same name, starring Billy Bob Thornton. The novel was the real story of the 1988 Permian Panthers of Odessa, Texas, and their fight to the Texas State Championship that year. But the book wasn't just about the football. Bissinger was a journalist by trade, and it even won the Pulitzer Prize in 1987 for his reporting on corruption in Philadelphia's court system. And so he was also interested in digging into the larger ecosystem around the team. The players' lives off the field, the coaches, the families, and the entire town itself. It's no secret that Texas football culture is pretty intense, and in small towns like these, it can be the central driving force for many people's lives. And so adapting the story for television gave the team the opportunity to really dig into these stories and themes in a new way.
I said you need to strive to be better than everyone else. I didn't say you needed to be better than everyone else, but you gotta try. That's what character is. It's in the trying.
One major event pulled from real life functions as the catalyst for much of the drama of the story. The pilot sees star quarterback Jason Street becoming paralyzed during a play. This was based on the real-life injury of David Edwards in a game a few years prior. Jason's injury not only upends his own life, but also throws many others off course. The new head coach, Eric Taylor, has to totally realign his plans for the star team now without their star quarterback. Matt Saracen, only a sophomore, is thrown headfirst into the limelight when he has to take over for Jason. And these kinds of ripple effects are one of the things that makes the show feel so true to life. While many high school shows often seem to exist in a bubble, where the kids encounter all sorts of wild and even terrifying situations, but it never seems to really affect that much in the larger world or lead to many long-term consequences. On Friday Night Lights, we do see that cause and effect.
You give 100% of yourself tonight, people are gonna look at you differently. And I promise you, you're gonna look and think differently about yourselves.
We feel how connected everyone is, even when they don't want to be. In a small town, everyone knows everyone, and everyone's business. This can feel suffocating and lead to a lot of pressure. And in the Panthers team, we can see how this can bubble over even for people who should be working together.
Y'all wanna fight? Go ahead and fight. But not on my field and not in my colors. Is that understood? Yes, sir. You don't fight in my house!
No one is perfect in the world of Friday Night Lights. From the teens to the adults, everyone is allowed to have very real flaws, which don't just pop up for one episode for a bit of drama, but are instead a deeper part of their characters that drive them, and that they truly have to put in work to overcome.
You don't listen to the Grady Hunts of the world. You listen to the people that love you, and you listen to the people that you trust. Most of all, you listen to yourself.
And the larger ensemble allows for a larger range of issues to be covered in a way that felt genuine, from toxic masculinity to racism to slut-shaming and beyond. And the show wasn't afraid to dive into the grittier lives of teens, working to give space to the full breadth and depth of their emotions.
It was an accident. It was not your fault. Look at me. I want you to let yourself off the hook, son.
And it was also willing to confront masculinity in a way not often seen on television, especially at the time, taking a peek behind the stoic facade of these men and boys to see the humanity underneath.
Every man at some point in his life is gonna lose a battle. But what makes him a man is that in the midst of that battle, he does not lose himself.
Coach Taylor was written as an inspirational figure, but also an imperfect one. His understanding of the world and desire to push the team to be their best doesn't come from some two-dimensional need to be a good guy, but instead from a deep fire within that knew that he could really change lives. He doesn't swoop in to save or fix everything, but instead helps the team find that strength within themselves.
You have to have trust and honesty. Without trust and honesty, it is not going to work. I can't give you any answers. You gotta make the answers.
He also pushes the team to not get bogged down in petty disagreements and instead understand that they'll always be more powerful together.
Hey, Coach, we put it away, Coach. We cool.
BFFs, once again.
Go warm up.
Our second category is visual storytelling. The cinematography, editing, the form or style. How do the visuals tell and elevate the story? The show is filmed in cinema verite, or documentary style, adding to the feeling that we're getting a peek into a very real world. While multicam doc-style filming has become a staple of comedies, using it for this drama made it feel closer to reality shows of its era than the glossier teen dramas.
I wish I could just hate her and walk away from it and be done with it, because it would be so much easier. But I love her, you know?
There's no weakness in forgiveness, if that's what you decide.
The use of multiple cameras for each scene also allowed for continuous filming and improvisation by the actors, instead of having to stop and reshoot different setups for each scene. Another key visual styling of the show is its use of close-ups. It can be difficult for anyone to say what they're thinking or what they really mean, but especially teenagers and closed-off adults. And so these close-ups give us a chance to read their feelings on their faces. We're really pulled into their world and living through each moment with them.
Everybody leaves me. What's wrong with me?
The shooting style also adds to the intensity of the games. It feels like we're really down on the field with these players, play by play. We can't see everything at once because we don't have a bird's eye view. We're down on the field with them, or watching it intensely from the sideline. The visual style combines with the naturalistic writing to create a world that feels relatable and honest. Now, let's take a look at symbolism. Does the show have a rich and original system of symbols? And can it work as a parable on multiple layers? Unsurprisingly, the biggest symbol on the show is football itself. It isn't just about the game. Football is a metaphor for these characters' entire lives, feeling like they're not good enough, or that they're underappreciated, or just want to give up. Or like no matter how hard they try, they'll never really be able to make it because there's always some huge obstacle in the way. They're often so singularly focused on this goal that it can blot out everything else in their lives, then leading them to having a hard time figuring out who they really are off the field. But we also see how it can help instill within them a feeling of purpose when they otherwise feel like they have none.
Champions don't give up. Champions don't complain. Champions give 200%. You're not champions until you've earned it.
Family, in all its forms, is incredibly important. Biological family certainly has an effect on every single character, whether holding them up or holding them back. But the most important familial bonds come from those of the community forged between the teammates, with Coach Taylor functioning as a surrogate father of sorts.
Fuel never give up on you. You go back out on the field, those are the people I want in your minds. Those are the people I want in your hearts.
The next category we look at is world. How does the show use tone, atmosphere, performances, music, or sound design to build a particular world that's memorable, evocative, or takes us somewhere that makes us feel something? In addition to its ability to pull in stories from real life, the world of Friday Night Lights feels so real because the creative team went to great lengths to honestly capture the essence of the world in a way that felt genuine. Many things we see, from uniforms to stadiums to the fans, and even some of the game footage, are all borrowed from real life. This, in addition to the show's cinema verite style, helped shake off any artifice and instead build out what feels like a real look into the intensity of small-town Texas football culture, and all of the lives in its orbit.
This is about more than just football, gentlemen. It's about adversity and how we stand up to it. No one said they were going to hand us the playoffs.
The creative team allowed the actors a lot of leeway with their lines and performances, giving them the opportunity to make them feel more real and lived in. Like iconic teen show before it, My So-Called Life, Friday Night Lights was more interested in performances that felt honest, which meant stumbling over words, awkward pauses, and longing glances. These are not snappy teens written to sound like what adults wish they sounded like in their youth, but instead honest to pick teenagerdom. The adults, for their part, also feel human and real. They've got their own problems and encounter the very real-world difficulties that can come with trying to deal with angsty teens.
What's the big deal?
Well, the big deal is that it's part of my job to make sure that you don't grow up stupid. It's bad for the world.
The world also feels real because people are allowed to grow and change. The kids aren't kids forever. They get older and go off to college, or don't. While some people do make it out and head off to build new lives for themselves, others stay stuck in their old ways in the way we've felt has happened to other adults we've seen throughout the show. And so we can see that this is a cycle that continues to pull some people in. No one is assured any certain kind of life. It all comes as the result of a million little decisions and lucky or unlucky breaks that they have no control over, just like for all of us in real life. And our final category to discuss is impact. Has the piece sparked debate, thought, and conversation? And has its influence managed to stand the test of time? The show struggled for the recognition it deserved even while it was on the air. It was a critical darling and did get some award spotlight, but it was constantly on shaky footing. The 2007 writer's strike led to the show's second season episode order being chopped down to 15 from the original 19, and the show had ratings issues. While it did have a dedicated group of fans, it just wasn't getting the numbers the studio wanted and was constantly in danger of being canceled. Fans rallied and not only saved the show from getting the axe, but also raised nearly $20,000 for charity in the process with their Save Friday Night Lights campaign. The show ended up making it to 5 seasons before finally ending in 2011.
No matter what happens, no matter where you go, no matter what you do, I'm always gonna be behind you.
So many actors from the show have gone on to find major success in Hollywood, from Connie Britton to Michael B. Jordan to Minka Kelly to Jesse Plemons and more. Taylor Kish got a big leading man push from Hollywood after the show ended, and though it didn't elevate him to superstardom, he has still continued to have a pretty steady career. Around the time the show ended, there were talks about closing off the story with a feature film, but that never came to fruition. A reboot of the show, featuring a new cast of characters, was recently announced, though it hasn't yet moved into production.
I heard that they're making another Friday Night Lights, which I find bizarre.
While it's no surprise that the Hollywood reboot machine is attempting another go at this show, the original will continue to hold its place in the minds and hearts of fans, and hopefully continue to find a new audience as more people are clued into its charm and impact. The show, like its characters, is imperfect yet determined, and most importantly, full of heart.
There's a joy to this game, is there not?
Yes, sir.
There's a passion and a pleasure to this game. There's a reason why we're all out here. So let's go out there and let's have fun tonight.
That's The Take. Click here to watch the video we think you'll love, or here to check out a whole playlist of awesome content. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications.